Let me ask you a question in your fucking job, where you sit at a desk or you fucking go and shovel shit, whatever the fuck it is you do for a living. Can you predict what's going to happen tomorrow? No, you can't. But atmospheric scientists and meteorologists can, on a daily fucking regular basis, can predict the fucking future, and you're angry because they got it wrong once or twice? Suck a dick. Dear Brother, with Alex and Mark, is brought to you by absolutely no one. I'd like to start off with thanking everybody who's been listening. We really appreciate it. We appreciate new listeners as well. There are a few of you out there, so thanks for checking out the Dear Brother podcast. As always, you can get everything you want to know about the Dear Brother podcast at dearbrotherpodcast.com. We are now available anywhere you get your podcasts. And so, yeah, click through and you will find out all of the streaming services are all linked on our page. And you can also check us out on Twitter at dearbrother_pod. And that is probably the best way to communicate with us. So if you've got anything to say, you don't like something, you have a suggestion, you want to add something, feel free to go there and do that. You can also join our mailing list, which turns out 2 people have already done. So thank you for those 2 people who have already done that. If you scroll to the bottom of any page on our website, there's a place to enter your email address. And if you're so inclined, every once in a while, we will send you an email about things. Maybe one day when we have more than 2 people, we will send out an email whenever we have a new upload. So that way you're notified. Or if you don't like that, we can do something more interesting and clever. I'll let Alex come up with that stuff.
We should email those 2 people and thank them.
Should, except one of them is your brother and the other is my girlfriend. So
well, look, still thank him.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I'll send out a campaign, email campaign happening here shortly. So yeah. So thanks to everybody who's doing that, and we are going to keep trying to record these episodes so that way you can listen to our delightful voices.
Indeed.
So on today's episode of the Dear Brother podcast, we are going to be talking about pet peeves. And it is probably appropriate to pull up the definition of pet peeve and read it to our delightful listeners. So according to the dictionary, and I don't know which dictionary, let's call it the Google dictionary, a pet peeve is something that a particular person finds especially annoying. And I gave this a lot of thought over the last week when we decided we were going to do pet peeves. And I realized something important. A pet peeve needs to be something kind of like inconsequential. Because otherwise we're just talking about things we don't like or things that are bad. And there has to be a distinction between them, don't you think?
Yes and no.
It's a fucking audio program, Alex. Stretch it out a little bit.
No, a pet peeve is something that annoys you. It could be something that's tiny or trivial, or something that's...
So, like, for instance, like the Holocaust is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Well, now you're just being ridiculous.
Am I?
Aren't you?
What? Seriously, though, like, where do you draw the line with a pet peeve? I obviously, the Holocaust does not qualify as a pet peeve. It's a ridiculous statement.
Right.
Okay, so where do you draw the
line? I think it's more
line?
of like everyday just happenings, little everyday interactions or nuances that happen that annoy you.
So inconsequential, like things that aren't really important.
But they might be.
All right.
Somewhat.
Well, are they? Like, are they important in the grand scheme of things, or are they important to you at that moment?
It could be both.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
depends on... You want me to start with one?
Oh, what I was going to say was we have both made lists of our pet peeves, at least some of them anyway, and I think we should go through them. And I guess the first thing I would ask you is why don't you read to me one of your biggest pet peeves, like the thing that is the most consequential.
The most consequential, I'll bring it up because it just happened, and it happens every time it snows.
Go ahead.
It's people who don't fucking clean off their hoods, the roofs of their cars, or their trunks after a snowfall, and just drive around with piles of snow just piled onto their car.
The little porthole in the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's It's consequential because it's a safety hazard, right?
Yes,
Because you're driving around and then a fucking giant chunk of ice flies off, and if you're the poor unlucky bastard driving behind this moron, you have to either swerve out of the way or get slammed by this fucking boulder of ice. And it's annoying.
Did you know
and
that
you're an asshole if you don't clean off.
in Colorado, it is a ticketable offense to drive?
Good.
With,
it should be.
Yeah.
It should be a jailable offense. How's that? You should spend the night in jail if you can't be bothered to clean off the fucking hood, trunk, and the roof of your car.
I think that. Okay.
How's that?
I think that's good. That's good. That qualifies for sure, because I agree with you. I'm with you 100%, and I think it might straddle the line of something that's like consequential but still a pet peeve. Okay, fair enough.
All right, so I've proven my point.
Sort of.
Thank you for listening. This is the end of the show. I win.
Apparently, we were having a contest. I didn't even know. Well, son of a bitch. Okay, I think we have to. I have to preface anything that I'm about to say going forward with I may prove myself to be a hypocrite at some point during this episode.
We definitely will.
And I don't mean it intentionally, but here we go. So, toasters.
All right.
Fuck toasters.
Interesting.
Yeah. Fuck toasters, because the only thing you can do with a toaster is make toast. And toast bagels.
And that's why it's called a toaster.
Yeah, but here's the thing. A toaster oven can make toast, and it can also cook a fucking pie. And it's the same size, and it uses the same amount of electricity, and it does 1,000 times more things than a toaster. And even if you really love toast, and like you're a household that just you've got like 6 kids and fucking grandparents living in the whole thing, and everybody loves toast, your toaster's still not going to cut it, because it still takes the same amount of time, if not longer, to make toast appropriately in a toaster. And what are you going to get? A 4-slice toaster? That's not going to help you. You're not going to be able to make enough toast fast enough to satisfy your entire family. And at that point, you're going to put it in the oven in order to make enough toast for the entire family.
I have never put toast in the oven.
Well,
ever.
Some people put toast in the oven in order to make lots of toast quickly, because a toaster.
Never heard of such a thing.
How much toast do you make? Do you have a toaster?
I do have a toaster.
Why do you have a toaster oven?
No, I have an oven.
Okay.
If I want to make a pie, I put it in the oven.
Right.
If I want to make toast, I put it in the toaster.
Now,
what if I wanted to make toast and make a pie at the same time?
Then you could have a toaster oven where you could make your toast. And
how big is this toaster oven?
It's the size of a toaster, dude. It's like a regular size.
Yeah, exactly.
Toaster
So how the fuck do you fit toast and a pie in there?
You don't put the toast and the pie in the toaster oven at
what
the
if
same
I wanted
time.
to? What if I was cooking pie and I said to myself, as the pie cooks, I would like a slice of toast.
In that scenario, you would be cooking the pie in your regular oven under the guise that you might then want to make toast in your toaster oven, because the primary function of your toaster oven is still to make you toast when you want to have toast. Right. Also, really, who the fuck eats toast?
I do all the time. I had toast this morning.
How many slots in your toaster oven or in your toaster? There are 4. So that's 2 people's worth of toast. It's 2 adult. That's a 2 adult serving toaster. You know how many slices of toast I can fit in my toaster oven? 6. I can put 6 slices of toast in my toaster oven. And then after I'm done making that toast, I could broil some salmon in there.
But you have an oven. You could broil salmon in there as well.
Why would I use a giant appliance to heat up the house for 1 piece of salmon when I could just use my toaster oven? Toasters are my pet peeve. They're a single-use appliance. They take up space, and I don't like them. Now you go.
So does that go for any single-use appliance?
I think it goes in general. I prefer any sort of kitchen. This is true for everything. Any appliance or tool or implement should have multiple functions. Having a single-use tool is generally upsetting to me. Unless it's
what about your vacuum then?
That's an interesting point. A vacuum is a single-use tool. But I can't think of any other thing it would also do other than be a vacuum, and I can't think of any other appliance that might do that. So that's one of the exceptions. There has to be exceptions. All right, you're up. What are you going to do?
No, look, if that's your pet peeve, then that's your pet peeve. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's
You're ridiculous. Toasters are stupid. Buy a toaster oven.
That's a T-shirt.
Toasters.
Toasters are stupid. Write it down.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Where's my
Sticking
pen?
with the road aspect of things. People who don't acknowledge you when you let them in on a merge or wave them in front of you. People who don't give you the customary, the hand wave, put the hand up as a thank you. I don't like those people. And they anger me. They anger me more than someone who actually just cuts me off.
You need a fucking hug every time you do something nice? Is that the kind of game we're playing?
Yeah, it's just common courtesy.
What the fuck do you care?
I care because I've let you in. I want to thank you.
You as the benevolent traffic person
100%
requires a hug.
Yeah. Not a hug, a thank you, an acknowledgement.
That
I let you in and didn't hold up traffic.
Driving.
I could have just drove up and just been a dick and not let you in.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Driving's not a charity. Fucking grow a pair and drive.
No. That pisses me off.
Right,
it is a pet peeve, and I don't like it.
I tell you what, I'm going to cut you off. I'm not even going to acknowledge that I cut you off.
I'm okay with that. I told you that angers me less than if I let someone in and they don't thank me.
What are you doing letting people in?
It keeps traffic moving.
No, they should be getting in, not you letting them in.
No, I let them in.
If somebody is merging onto a highway and you're traveling at highway speeds, right? So you're doing the speed limit, let's say. So 55 miles an hour, whatever, 65. And somebody is merging onto a highway and they've not
I get into the left lane.
No, hold on. But you're enabling them because they have not figured out how to get up to highway speeds. And you either get out of their way or slow down to enable the moron who doesn't know how to merge. And then when you take the time to go out of your way to enable their idiotic behavior, you're looking for a thank you from an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still want to thank you.
Here's what I do. If
you don't let them in.
No, fuck you. If you can't merge, if you don't know how to get up to highway speeds on a goddamn on-ramp, you're not getting in on this highway. You got to go back home and start over again. And I'm not talking about like you're in traffic and it's one car after another and you're trying to be courteous to the people in front of you and behind you. I'm talking about like just driving on the highway and some knucklehead shows up.
I'm talking about in traffic.
Yeah, what the fuck you need to do that for? It's like fucking breathing. You're gonna fucking congratulations on your next breath. Good job.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fucking no. Your pet peeve is stupid.
Not as dumb as a toaster.
Exactly. Toasters are dumb. You heard it. All right, is it my turn?
You go.
I think we decided we're going to read tit for tat off our list, huh?
Tit for tat.
Holiday decorations.
Interesting.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, to be clear, it's not all holiday decorations. It's not every holiday decorations. It's a particular subset of holiday decorations.
Okay.
And it's not even so much just Christmas decorations, to be sure. It's the expansion of mediocre holiday decorations that we've seen happen over the last 15, 20 years, where like fucking St. Patrick's Day requires a giant inflatable fucking elf or whatever the fuck leprechaun thing on your lawn. You know, like we've gone to a point now where every day needs a celebration and every celebration needs a decoration, and fuck taste and fuck forethought and consideration of your neighbors, because we're just going to load up our idiotic suburban front lawns with these stupid decorations. You want to put up some Christmas lights or a little fucking, I don't know, even the plastic reindeer from the 90s. Remember those fucking things? Plastic Santa, plastic reindeer, light up.
My neighbor has the plastic Santa.
Fuck that guy. But at least he's back in the day, and he doesn't have a fucking fan operating continuously on his front lawn in order to keep this bulbous, idiotic decoration inflated throughout the day.
So what holidays would you deem acceptable to decorate versus non-acceptable?
Acceptable to decorate? I would say that this is going to be a meaningless statement, but I would say at this point Christmas, because Christmas has been the one we historically decorate for. Yeah. And we've tacked on holidays over the years to the point now where we decorate for fucking Valentine's Day. People are putting up goddamn Valentine's Day decorations. What are we doing with ourselves? What's going to be next? National Cheeseburger Day is going to get a fucking inflatable cheeseburger on your front lawn. Now that'll subscribe to. Yeah. In fact, let it be known that today the Dear Brother podcast advocates for National Cheeseburger Day decorations.
We could make and sell inflatable cheeseburgers on our website.
Excellent. Good call. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Oh, look at that. What do you got?
Yeah, I decorate for Christmas, and the only other holiday I decorate for is Halloween.
Okay, I'll give Halloween a pass, even though I don't care for it as much as you do. But I'll give it a pass.
I love Halloween.
Yeah, put a couple of fucking spiders and shit. Go for it.
Yeah. That's what I got. Spider, and I have a giant inflatable dragon.
You do, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I have kids.
Yeah.
They liked it.
Yeah.
It's
well,
kitschy.
I bet you they like ketchup too.
One of them does, yes. My son loves ketchup.
I knew I liked
my daughter not so much.
I knew I liked the girl better. All right. You're up.
I'm up. Okay, so this one is...
Start crossing these off.
This one needs a little bit of explanation. Because it could be... It's public restroom etiquette. And when I say public, I don't mean like a... I don't mean like a ball game or, a mass place with lots of humanity, right? Because you just expect those toilets to be filthy and disgusting and, whatever. I am talking about like shared spaces. Like if you share like an office. Like an office or even a home. Yeah, so people who pee on the rim of the toilet or get urine on the floor and don't clean up after themselves should be taken somewhere and peed on. And the same applies with poop. If you poop in a public bathroom, right? And again, public bathroom meaning shared space.
I understand.
Right? And it's one of those poops that leaves, skid marks on the toilet. Mm-hmm. Flush again. Do a courtesy flush. Get that out. I don't want to see that when I go in next. Right?
Right.
And the worst offenders are the people who have some sort of massive explosive poop, right? And that somehow manage to get splashback on the underside of the seat.
Poop splashback.
Yeah. And then so that when I go in next to go pee and I lift said seat, there are streaks of wet poo streaming down the back of the toilet seat. It's disgusting. It's vile. I don't want to see it. Clean up after yourself.
Yeah, I have nothing to say in disagreement on that. I couldn't agree more. In fact, I would even take it a step further and say, like, even like at a fucking baseball game, for fuck's sakes, why is it suddenly that we descend into the Middle Ages and just throw our feces and our urine into the fucking middle of the room instead of just going to the actual bathroom?
Look, I agree with you there, but you go into a ball game accepting that a restroom is going to be disgusting, right? I mean, you kind of expect it. There's thousands of drunken people. Their aim and their ability to keep their urine and feces in one spot is just, it's poor.
It's a pass, but yeah, okay, fair.
When you're in an office space or in someone's home, you expect some level of just decency, man.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us. We've all been there. You go to pee and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you have a dual stream and pee's going one way and you try to control it, but sometimes you can't, right?
It's okay. So here's the thing. That's a very important point. I'd like to, and maybe this has never been discussed before, but for all the women that might be listening out there, to be sure, you guys can be pretty gross too, but sometimes we have a double stream and there's nothing we can do about it. And we don't know about it until it happens.
It happens.
And you're 4 feet away from that toilet bowl and double stream, and it could go in any direction. It can go up and down. It can go left and right. It can go up and left. And you just have to deal with the consequences of that stream immediately thereafter. So
exactly.
It's not
best case scenario, you pinch it and you try to, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you got to let it go.
Sometimes. So, well, I mean, here's the thing. Even if you can pinch it, there's the initial start that goes double stream. There's always going to be that. You don't know until you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot or a pea shoot.
A pea shoot. It's a pea shoot.
It's a pea shoot.
But what matters is that after that double stream happens,
You
clean up where you've missed.
Yeah, you be an adult. You do something about it.
Exactly.
All right. All right. That's good. This is good. This is going to be therapeutic, I think. This is all right.
I've got more bathroom stuff, but I'll let you go next.
All right. Adult birthday parties.
Okay.
Adult birthday parties. First of all, I would say that in general, in case anybody hasn't noticed, I don't particularly care for celebrations in general. But I find that birthdays in general are, I don't know who they're for. When you have a 1-year-old child and you throw that child a birthday party, is it for the 1-year-old or is it for you? I would argue it's for the adults, for the parents. It's not for the child. The child doesn't give a fuck. The child doesn't remember. It's only one. And then when the child hits 7 or 8, you say, oh, but he loves it or she loves it. And it's yeah, because you set up the fucking thing that every year you're going to give it a birthday party. So you've created this atmosphere, right? And then that child grows up to be an adult and then they hit 18, 19 and they're like, oh, I'm going to be 19. Let's have a birthday party. And everybody's like, yeah, what are we going to do? And they're like, I don't know. We're 19. And they continue to have child-oriented birthday parties. And then by the time you're 40 or 50 years old, you're still having ridiculous parties with gifts and cake and music and everybody's dancing around. And quite honestly, I think it's childish. I think it's selfish. I think it's ignorant. And if you're having an adult birthday party and you're an adult, okay, then you should really question your life choices. Re-examine where you are in life. And you probably like ketchup. That's how I feel about adult birthday parties.
One of these years, I am going to plan the biggest party for your birthday.
Okay.
And you're not going to know about it.
I wondered how long it would take for you to
I never knew you felt this way about parties.
Really?
Yeah. I always knew you didn't like birthday celebrations for adults, but not to this level. And it's just furthermore reason for me to do this to you.
I appreciate your spite more than I could ever explain to you in words.
I can't wait.
All right. Well, there you go. You're up.
Sticking with the bathroom theme. People who cannot replace the toilet paper or the paper towel roll in the bathroom.
Let me hop on board real quick. That was going to be one of mine in general.
Okay.
But so we're on the same page there. Run with it.
Same page on this one.
Go for it, baby.
What happened to you in your life that you cannot just take the 5 seconds that it takes to pop off a little cardboard tube and replace it with a roll of fresh toilet paper and or paper towel? Are you that selfish of a human being?
Yeah.
Do you not care about the others that live and work with you? Yeah, I
bet that the people that do that are the same people that don't clean off their cars.
Yeah, and the ones who poop on the toilet seat and leave streaks of running poo for the next person to come in and be horrified.
And they probably have toasters.
And throw adult birthday parties.
We're gonna come up with an entity when this is all done that encompasses all of these things. The person that does all of these things is gonna be.
It bothers me because I am always the fucking person, especially at work, who's walking into the bathroom into these scenarios, man.
Yep. Fill up the water in the coffee maker. Replace the paper towel.
Replace the water thing, the water cooler.
Yeah,
that's another. What the fuck? If you took the last
drop of water came into your vessel and you decided
you actively just walked away.
Fuck off, everyone else.
Yep, don't care. Not my problem. I got my water.
Yep, fuck you, selfish. That's very good. That's very good.
Getting angry.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. I'm just going to go down my list. These aren't in any particular order on my end, and I'm going to keep them that way. Verbal abbreviations. I don't mind abbreviations in text form, written form, because I think that in some cases they're necessary. Like if you're taking a quick note and you want to just be able to scratch down your idea and you don't want to spell out an entire word that you can easily abbreviate, that's fine. I'll even argue that text messaging and social media require some form of abbreviation just because of simplicity or because of limited character space, and that's fine. I'm okay with creative use of the language. In fact, I rather enjoy the way that we creatively use the language. But verbal abbreviations that don't need to occur anger me.
Okay, give me an example.
I'm having a hard time actually thinking of one, which is annoying. The kids do them, and I don't like them, and I don't know what they are.
Like LOL?
Yeah, that's.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. Like, you know, LOL.
I've heard people say like lolling or something, but that's not. No, that's not even what I'm talking about. Like, okay, so aggro. Like being like aggressive. People are abbreviating the word aggressive. When aggro, I think, is one of them, or maybe I'm mispronouncing it. I don't know. Honestly, I can't think of any examples, and I'm a bit ashamed of myself, and I should have prepared better. But verbal abbreviations. When you're speaking to somebody, and you're holding a conversation, try to maintain some level of decorum in that conversation, and don't just throw out the English language. Be creative about it, but don't throw it away. We don't need to abbreviate. Your time's not that important.
I'm trying to think of an abbreviation.
Actually, here, I'll give you an example, and this is an old one. This is one that a lot of people use and probably wouldn't even think. Fridge.
Yeah, okay.
It's the refrigerator.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I'm going to the fridge.
You that pressed for time? What do you got going on in your life? You can't say refrigerator.
It's a lot of extra syllables.
You're a lot of extra syllables. All right, now you go.
I'm going to stick with the bathroom theme yet again.
Oh, Jesus.
People who don't wash their hands after going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, for fuck's sakes.
Look,
Even
for fuck's sakes.
Pre-pandemic even. What are we doing?
Pre-pandemic.
What are we doing?
The fact that there has to be signs in the bathrooms reminding people to wash their hands, that bothers me. And the fact that people still don't wash their hands and then use the logic of, well, I just peed. Okay, well, but you touched your filthy penis, and now you've gone out, and now you're touching other door handles, and by proxy, I'm touching that same door handle, so indirectly, I've touched your penis. And I don't want to do that.
Get your dick off the door, because I don't want to touch your dick.
Yeah, that's essentially what you're doing. You're just running around, rubbing your dick on door handles.
Just running around, rubbing your dick on things.
You might as well do that.
That actually could be more enjoyable. Like if you're going to do it.
At least it'll have some comic relief.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would argue at that point that we're talking about people who can't even shit in the toilet, let alone be capable of washing their hands. But yes.
But are you that busy that you cannot wash your hands? Like it's a 20-second process.
Right.
Soap, some water, you rinse, you dry off. If you use the last paper towel, you replace the fucking roll. And you go.
For every unwashed hand, there is a life lost.
I don't like it. And it bothers me. And it happens more often than it should.
Yes.
And it needs to stop.
Have you ever called anybody out for not washing their hands?
Yeah.
What's that like?
They don't care. They laugh it off. They're like, because I'll like at work specifically, the bathrooms are in public corridors that are near people's offices, so I'll be talking to someone, and you can hear the toilet flush because it's a loud fucking vacuum flush in that place. And as the toilet is still flushing, that person is walking out the door. You did not wash your hands.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's the middle of the night. It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
You got up to go piss. You didn't even close the door or turn the light on. Did you wash your hands?
No.
No, me neither. Fuck that.
Yeah.
But
I usually, in the middle of the night, I usually sit down to pee.
I was just gonna say, I sit to pee
strictly
in the middle
contactless.
It's a contactless. It is also, there's no risk of missing.
Right. No,
I don't even have to open my eyes.
That's exactly that, and that's why I do it. I just told Barbara about this the other day. She says, "You sit down to pee in the middle of the night." But yeah, I'm not turning the lights on. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I'm trying to not disrupt my sleep. I just go there, sit down, do my business, and carry on.
I wonder how many other men out there are sitting down to pee in the middle of the night and aren't talking about it because they're ashamed. But I'm here to say,
there's tons. There's nothing to be ashamed about.
I'm here to say, just what are you doing standing? First of all, why do you turn the light on at 3 o'clock in the morning to go piss?
Right.
Just that's ridiculous.
It's
and if you're worried about missing, then just sit down. I'm telling you, it's lovely. You don't even have to open your eyes.
Nope.
Yeah. Excellent.
I'm with you on that.
All right.
This is quite the show we have going.
Hey, you ever piss in the shower?
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't piss in the shower?
Right.
It's wonderful.
I mean, why not?
Why not?
It's a water hole. It's going down the same
What am I
place.
going to do? Take 2 different steps,
Right,
piss over
no.
there, then come in here in the shower? No. There's water flowing. It's going down the drain.
Right.
I don't prepare food in the shower, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
So you poop in the shower too, right?
No.
But can we just agree? No, neither do I. But can we just agree that shower farts are the strangest farts of all?
You get some interesting acoustics.
This wonderful acoustics.
Yeah.
It's everything from the actual acoustics of the space to the way your butt cheeks react to being wet.
Yeah, because at that point, every fart is a wet fart.
Every fart is a wet fart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I don't like baby talk.
Yeah.
In particular to babies. I don't like it when adults utilize baby talk to attempt to communicate with babies of any age, newborns to 1-year-olds to I don't care. I think you're doing that child a disservice. I think you are proving to the world that you are incapable of articulating thoughts, and you are assuming that somehow goo goo gaga is a good way to communicate with a child. They can't understand English anyway. And all you're doing is delaying their potential development into the language that you're wishing them to speak one day. Say words to them. Say, hey, little buddy, you're a cute little baby, and I like you. And I think that one day you're going to make a fantastic human adult.
Discuss politics with them.
Whatever. I just speak to them
Laws
like
of physics,
like individuals. Like, hey, what's going on today? Did you do a poop in your diaper? Oh, well, let's talk about that. I'm going to clean it for you because that's my job. And one day you're going to be able to clean it yourself, and that'll be great. Why does it have to be, oh, did you do a little poo-poo in your diaper? Oh, we're going to clean up your little poo-poo diaper, little diaper poo-poo? What the fuck? What are we doing? Who's that for?
it's for the baby.
No, it's not. It is not for the baby. The baby doesn't fucking, it's the birthday party. The baby doesn't know. It's fucking stupid.
I'm going to throw you a surprise birthday party where everyone talks to you in baby talk.
It's a goddamn fucking nightmare you just described. Yeah. No, really, I sincerely mean this. I think that baby talk for a baby in particular is detrimental. And I had brought this up to somebody recently, and they said, well, what about pets and animals? And I said, there's a difference between speaking gibberish words to a pet or an animal than there is to a small child. The pet is not going to respond one day with a college education, right? You're not trying to send your cat to get its PhD. You don't have to worry about their future development of language. If you've got a child that you've procured from a womb or elsewhere, your job is to turn that child into a human adult that can one day operate in the real world, and try not to hurt it.
Yeah, all right. I mean, look, I'm not a big. I don't do the baby talk thing either, but I mean, it does stop, right? I mean,
Does it?
Yes. I find that people stop typically. I mean, 6 months, maybe a year. Then it,
I recall a group of people, some of which you know, who utilized baby talk at the times where people believe it to be appropriate, so to a baby.
Right.
And then never really stopped. And then what I found is that they communicated amongst each other in almost in primitive grunts and and groans. Like they
developed their own language.
They developed their own language that stemmed from baby talk.
It's interesting.
It is. And I think it's a mistake. Okay, you go. There's a lot of, I'd like to point out a theme here. There's a lot of language related things on my end, and there's a lot of bathroom related.
There's a lot of bathroom related on my end.
So now we have a picture painted of each other.
My picture is painted with urine and feces.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Incessant button clickers.
Incessant button clickers.
For example, you get on an elevator. Mm-hmm. You get on the ground floor. You want to go to the 10th floor. people who hit 10 and then continue to hit 10 until the door's closed. It's like, dude, stop. You hit 10, the light went on, the elevator has acknowledged that you want to go to the 10th floor. It's now going to do its thing. The door is going to close, and you're going to go up to the 10th floor. Stop hitting the button. Stop. You should be allowed to smack those people in the hands when they start hitting the button. Like, that should be a public law. If someone hits the button more than once and the light goes on, anyone in that elevator should be allowed to smack that person's hand and say, no. Stop. Because no one's ever taught that person that just hit the button once.
No one's ever taught them.
And that's the type of person who goes home, and when their computer's not working, they start clicking the mouse. Click, 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 click. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. Well, now you've just locked up your computer, you moron, because you didn't give the machine time to do what it's supposed to do. Just stop. One click is enough. Just walk away.
One click is enough. It's just the visual of what that just came to my mind with the slapping them on the wrist. The idea that the elevator acknowledged that the light came on. What else? What more do you want?
Right. No, they want instant gratification. They want, as soon as they hit the button, the door to close because they're in a rush. I got to get somewhere. Click, 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 click. No, stop.
That's fantastic.
Same thing when you're outside calling for the elevator.
Right.
People
that
they start clicking it. It's like, dude, it's not going to come any faster if you keep clicking that button.
Let me tack on the person who you've arrived at the elevator bank to push the button to call the elevator, and the light is lit. Yeah. And it's clearly lit, and somebody else walks up and does the same.
Just hits the button. Yeah.
And just hits the button like somehow they thought you were just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like what?
Clearly your button press didn't work because the elevator's not here.
It's not here yet.
My button press is going to make that elevator appear faster.
And I will often give those people the look of, what did you think? Like, what? Good job, buddy.
There should be a law that you could smack that person's hand.
Yeah, I actually started, depending upon the person and the situation, because sometimes certain elevator banks it's hard to see the light, and I could sort of let that slide. Like the light's not very bright on the button, and maybe okay, but still, maybe. I often now, not now and anymore, but fairly recently, would say something and be like, "Hey, I already pressed it. We're good. It's coming. Elevator's coming. It's on its way."
What's the reaction to that? People get mad at
you? No, it's interesting. They usually just like, oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
I had one woman actually hit the button anyway.
She didn't believe you.
No, and she goes, just in case. And I'm like, fuck you, man. What the fuck? Just in case what? Just in case I showed up here. This is just my day job. I just come and hang out at the elevator buttons just to wait.
I come here daily just to trick people. Pretend like I've hit the button.
It's all a ruse.
Make you wait longer. Yeah, no, those people, I don't like them.
I don't like them either. I will say that I do appreciate a fast closing elevator door. Like I don't like those elevator doors that when you push the button, they take like 30 seconds to close. And I also appreciate a door close button that works instantly. Because in the elevators in my building at work, the door close button, it's fucking like you hit it, the door's closed. It's great. So if there's nobody out there waiting, you just hit the door close button, the door closes. Whereas on certain elevators...
Are you in a rush?
No, it's not that I'm in a rush necessarily. It's just
that I don't... Why can't you wait the 30 seconds? I mean, hit the button and wait. Let the elevator do its job.
But here's the thing. The door close button that works is a functional feature of the elevator. It's to close the doors sooner than the computer system would normally because it's waiting for other people. If there are other people, it's fine. Hang out. But the thing that bothers me in that scenario is a door close button that doesn't work. Like they have a door close button and you push it and it makes no difference. I don't like those.
I don't like the door close button.
Just in general?
Yeah, it's
interesting.
The elevator is designed to do its job. You hit the floor and you wait.
Yeah. I also like sometimes, depending upon the scenario, to get on an elevator and not hold it for a person and get that door closed so that way they can tell the door's being closed on them. Just to be a dick. Yeah. Just to be a dick. That's really what
is. Is this someone you know or just strangers in general?
Both. Huh. It depends. It depends on the situation. Nowadays, like I won't get on an elevator with somebody else. So very recently, I was waiting for the elevator at my building.
Yeah.
And an older woman arrived and started waiting for the elevator with me. Well, the elevator came and I please, after you. And then I didn't get on because I don't want to be on the elevator at the same time as somebody else.
Right.
And so I let her get on the elevator and said, okay, go ahead, because it's my thing, right? I'm
Sure.
the one who doesn't want to be on the elevator. I'm not going to get on the elevator and tell you to go fuck yourself. But on the other hand, if I'm already on the elevator and somebody's running at the door like they want to get on, I'm like, nope, I'm sorry. Now, if you're an elderly person, I will get out of the elevator and let you on it. I'm cool with that.
Has anyone ever, I guess, fought you on it? Like you've tried to hit the door close button, but they got in there anyway?
No, it has not happened. And if it were to happen, I wouldn't.
Would you get out, or
I would get out? I would get out. I'd be like, it's all yours. It's a fucking pandemic. We're not riding the elevator together. I don't know who you are.
Interesting.
Like, because here's the thing: if we're gonna get on the elevator together, let's just fuck.
I mean, it's a what, 15-second ride?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's just fuck each other right here and now. At least we'll have some time to enjoy ourselves while we spread each other's germs on each other.
It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard.
Well, moving on.
It's your turn.
1, 2, 3. The next 3 are all language related, and these are a small subset of these particular pet peeves, but they all are highlighted independently. The first one is the term et cetera.
Okay.
Et cetera is a Latin term. It's 2 words with a hyphen. Et hyphen
Yes.
cetera. CETERA.
Yes.
Okay, we abbreviate it often.
ETC, yes.
ETC in print. ETC.
Yeah.
Yet the vast majority of the population says etc.
With an X.
Or with like the CS before a T. I don't know what they're doing. Etc. That's not the word, folks, okay? It's not the word. The word that you're trying to say is et cetera. You could say it fast. You could say etc. You don't have to break it out into 2 words. I'm cool with that. You don't have to like put in the fake hyphen in the middle of your conversation. You could say etc. That's cool. You could even go etc. if you want. You can really tighten it up. But it's et cetera, not etc. Okay, that's one. That's a
Go
big
ahead.
one for me. In fact, I had a guy that I worked with years ago who would, in his emails, regularly use etc. and then on phone calls regularly say etc. And then one day I said to him, like, hey, Ed, what's the abbreviation for that? And he goes, what? For what you just said? He goes, oh, etc. I go, right, etc. Not ECT. And he goes, oh. And then like 3 seconds later, so blah, 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 etc. And I'm like, for fuck's sakes, there's no fixing this person. Yeah. The next one on my list of language-related affectations that I find to be rather irritating is acrost. There is no T in across, folks. It is ACROSS, not ACROSST or ROSSED. It is across.
It must be a Colorado thing. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say across.
You know, it might be, I don't know that it's just a Colorado thing, but it might be a Western or Midwest thing, because I'm hearing it more and more out here, and I don't remember ever hearing it in New York. So just for those of you listening in Colorado, for fuck's sakes, it's across, okay? I went across the street. I didn't go across the street. Okay? I didn't lay this piece of wood across the other one. I laid it across the other one.
It's like, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, so here's the thing. You're making a cross, okay? Everybody take that into their brains. When you cross the street, you're making a cross. And so you are going across the street. Next on the list is the word height.
Height.
Quite often I hear height. There is no H at the end of the word height. It is not width. It is not length. It is height. Width and length both have H's at the end of their spellings, which make you say height does not have this letter. The word is height, not height.
Again, that must be a Midwestern thing.
I believe it might be, because I only started hearing it out here, and it's become more prevalent. in the last few years. So when I first moved here, I heard height and across fairly frequently.
Yeah.
And over the last couple of years now, 3-4 years, it has increased in frequency. And so what's happening? I'm hearing people of prominence say it, like media figures or politicians or actors and people in interviews. Like, when you hear people who have a voice in an audience where they can espouse their words, somewhat similar to our podcast one day, perhaps, where people are using this. There is no H at the end of height. Length, width, height. Okay, that's my end. That's the end of my language pet peeves.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to keep an ear out for those.
In my book, once you hear them, it's like somebody's ringing a fucking bell in your ear. It's unavoidable. It's horrible.
So I'll stick with your language theme. Americans who use British slang or British
Interesting.
British
pronunciations.
Yeah, like schedule, or they call an elevator a lift, stuff like that. You're not British. It's an elevator. It's a schedule. Stop it.
It's not a flat. It's an apartment.
Right. Using British slang doesn't make you smarter. Doesn't make you cooler. It makes you stupid. Knock it off. Use the words that are taught here and be done with. Go ahead.
I'm actually searching my brain to figure out if I'm probably guilty of doing that at some point.
I don't think you are. If you had, I'd let you know.
I like to say project and process, but I like to do so because I know it bothers people.
Yeah.
Instead of process.
Yeah.
I used to work with a woman who, one day, just to be kind of funny, I said project because we were working on a project. And she's like, why are you saying it that way? And I'm like, oh, it's just how I say the word. She goes, it's project. I go, well, some people say project, some people say project. I say project. And she goes, but that's like Canadian. And I'm like, no, that's just how I say it. And she would get so angry. And it was fun for me. So that was what I did.
Yeah.
Wind chimes. Fuck
Okay.
wind chimes. What's next?
How will you know if it's windy?
What's next? Rain drums?
Yes.
Sun cymbals? What are we doing? Does every weather event have to be associated with a musical fucking instrument? I didn't move into this neighborhood to hear your fucking music loud. So why on earth are you putting fucking wind chimes on your front porch so that way every time a breeze blows, I've got to be disturbed by your sounds? Fuck wind
Available
chimes.
on the Dear Brother website. Rain drums.
I mean,
along with your giant inflatable cheeseburger for National Cheeseburger Day.
seriously though, like it's like I get people's arguments about wind chimes. Oh, they're pretty. When the wind blows, I can hear the chimes. No, they're not pretty. Because here's the thing. Nobody with wind chimes ever just has one wind chime. They have multiple wind chimes. And then they seem to think somehow that they've got are they trying to like recreate a fucking symphony orchestra on their front porch? It doesn't work that way. You've got all these divergent tones operating in divergent ways. There's no actual musical attribution to any of this. It's just fucking random noise. Hang a bunch of fucking cans outside your window. It's the same thing. In fact, next time it's windy, just go outside with a pot and a fucking spoon and bang your pot, and then just let the whole neighborhood. It's windy. It drives me nuts. And while we're on the topic of wind chimes,
Yeah.
I don't like the wind. I know I say things like you can't be mad at the rain and just wear a raincoat, but I don't like the wind. I don't care for the wind. I find it to be uncomfortable. It can be damaging. It can be dangerous. It doesn't help me out in any way, and I don't particularly enjoy it. And I especially don't like it when I'm notified of the wind, not only by the fucking sound of my house creaking, but by some selfish prick's goddamn wind orchestra.
I thought you were going to go down the weather alert apps, but I guess we'll save that one for later.
Oh, that's going to be a special one. Yeah. There's a fight coming.
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay. All right, you're up, Bazingo.
I don't know how this works in Denver, if you experience it, but in New York, on the subways, or even in public, people who use their speakerphone instead of earphones and or listen to music from their phones
Yes.
without headphones.
Yes.
I don't like them. You should be able to smack the phone out of their hands and step on it as a punishment for being rude and stupid. Invest in headphones or don't listen to music. Or, if you're going to call someone, don't put them on speakerphone in public. Put the phone up to your ear, and you're doing the same thing. You're walking around with your phone in your hand, right?
Well, okay, so specifically as it relates to that, as the phone call on speakerphone is when people hold the phone up to their mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If you're gonna have a public conversation on speakerphone, why not just set it down somewhere or like hold it at your side? But if you're holding it at your mouth, you might as well put it to your ear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the music is like, it's like back in the 80s when you had the
It's
giant
the
boom boxes.
It's no different. It's no different.
It's just like, dude, I don't want to listen to your music. Like, I'd like a quiet subway ride. I don't need this.
Okay, so I would like to. I came from New York. I've ridden on the subway. I generally disliked the subway for lots of kind of silly reasons, but there's no such thing as a quiet subway ride, Alex.
There is.
No, there isn't. There is a less loud subway ride. There is a perhaps equally loud but less disruptive subway ride. There is no such thing as a quiet subway ride in New York City. Maybe in some fanciful European country where their subways are fucking built well in the last 20 years and not 150 years old, subways might be quiet. Like it's Japan. Right. It's not Japan. Our subways are loud, dude.
When I mean quiet, I mean like non-human quiet.
It's like the natural sounds of the subway car, you mean?
Yeah, that I accept. You know it's going to be loud and clanky and screechy and brakes and all that stuff. It's the humanity that I don't want to hear.
I would argue that people with their music on speakerphone are the wind chimes of the subway.
Yes.
And that the subway sounds are the sounds of the wind, and the people with their phones are the wind chimes people hang on their front porch.
It's a good argument. I'll subscribe to your newsletter.
Hey, while we're at it, if you want to scroll down to the bottom of our page at dearbrotherpodcast.com, anywhere on any page, you can subscribe to our email newsletter. And at some point or another, you too will be subscribed to our newsletter. Okay. The last three things on my list are wildly divergent, and I don't know if they qualify as pet peeves. I don't like suburbs.
Don't you live in a suburb?
No, I don't live in a suburb. I live in the fucking mountains. I can't see any houses. I see trees and deer and rabbits and foxes and myself. There's nothing. You've been to my house. You know. Yes. I don't live in a suburb.
All right.
I might as well live in the middle of the ocean compared to a suburb. I don't like suburbs. Suburbs are extensions of a city for people who think they don't want to be in a city, but then complain and get angry about the fact that they don't have any of the amenities in a city. And in order to attempt to make themselves feel better, they have these little patches of vegetation in the front and in the back of their houses that they spend an inordinate amount of time and money and resources keeping green. They can't eat it. They half the time won't let you walk on it, and you get strip malls out of it. Strip malls and patches of wasteful land. Now, I'm all for the detached housing. I don't particularly care to live in a city, and I understand the benefit of detached housing, not in an apartment building. But I just think suburbs are the bottom of the barrel of American culture, and I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up in a suburb, and I
was going to say you grew up from, probably the original suburb
in
of
fact,
America.
I mean, basically, yeah. So, generally speaking, suburbs began shortly after World War II.
Yeah.
That sprang out of the boom of GIs coming back from war, starting families, buying houses that were built and developed by something Levitt, which generated Levittown, which was a few towns away from where I grew up. So anybody who knows anything about the history of suburbs, and I mean, for that matter, so did you, right? I mean, you were.
I live in a suburb.
Well, but even then, you grew up in New York City, but it was a suburb. It's Queens.
No.
It wasn't. What do you mean, no?
Half and half. My first. Let's see.
You're living on the 14. fucking Upper West Side, Spanish Harlem. What are you talking about?
No, I grew up in Bushwick for 8 years, and then I was in East New York for another 6 before I moved out to Queens.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with apartment living in attached houses.
Fair enough. Yeah. And for people elsewhere in the country, Queens is part of the New York City 5 boroughs. And those of us who grew up on Long Island, which would functionally be the same island as Queens and only maybe a couple of miles away, would consider that Queens was the city, even though there was almost no difference between the housing structures of Queens and the housing structures.
It depends on the parts of Queens, though.
That's true. No, that's true.
Like where I lived, the eastern part of Queens was more suburbish because of the proximity to Long Island. But the further west you went in Queens, the more city-like it was.
Very true. And it was the same thing on Long Island. There are certain places on Long Island where it's apartment buildings. I grew up on Long Island, and I actually only ever lived in a house on Long Island when I rented one for a few years as I got older. Growing up, I grew up in apartments. So, yeah. It's a fucking hell of a place. So I don't like
surrounded by strip malls.
Surrounded by strip malls, yeah. Well, that was the thing, right? I still lived in an apartment, but it's not like I had the fucking bakery downstairs. You know what I mean? Like in parts...
Yeah, because they were typically apartment complexes. That's what you find on Long Island. And even out in Colorado, from what I've seen, and like where you used to live was an apartment complex.
Unless you're like in downtown Denver, where you're actually...
And then you're in an apartment building.
Right. And in a lot of...
But I feel that applies to any metropolitan area.
Yeah, but...
Major
metro.
Major metro.
Whoa, dude, we just abbreviated metropolitan. Fuck verbal abbreviations.
You've become what you hate the most.
Fuck verb abbreviations. I don't even know. Okay, you're up, guy.
I'm sorry, I'm going through my list. Poor punctuation.
Poor punctuation?
Yeah, in emails or any written form.
I'm with you.
Or lack of punctuation at all. People who do run-on sentences, improper uses of commas, dude, like there are programs built into the computer that will do it for you.
Right.
You just have to do a grammar check or spell check. There's no excuse for improper spelling or improper grammar in an email. Button it up. Get your shit straight.
I agree to a point. I would argue that in really only one setting is it appropriate to not consider proper punctuation.
Go ahead.
And that would be rapid fire text messaging.
Text messaging is okay.
Now, that being said, I do make a concerted effort to appropriately punctuate and capitalize and etc. But
so do I, but it's not. I'm not going to freak out over it.
It's not critical in that scenario. Not to me in any way.
In a business email.
Oh,
even if it's not a business email,
but just an email. An email.
Just an email
is a letter.
Right. Yeah.
Take a moment. Take a minute. Yeah.
Especially when the computer will do it for you.
The computer will do it for you.
If you're unsure, if you're like, I'm not really sure if I should have a comma there, just hit grammar check. It does it for you.
It does it for you.
Yeah.
We have the machines now to do that for us.
We have the machines. It's like the elevator button all over again. Let the machine do the work.
The fucking light came on. You saw the little red squiggle. Use it.
It acknowledged your existence.
Right click on it. It'll change it for you.
Yeah.
I often make typos when I write emails, and then I reread and I proofread my email. And sometimes spell check catches a typo, and sometimes it doesn't, because sometimes the typo results in another word that is spelled correctly, and I have to read the email to make sure that when I want to write the word from, I didn't unintentionally write the word form.
Form.
That happens quite often, I would say.
All the time.
And you just got to read it and say, hey, that's not the right word. Let me fix it.
Yep.
I'm with you.
All right.
Okay. This one's fairly simple, and I would suspect it's probably true for everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people, because it's obviously not everybody, because the people that do it, chewing with your mouth open.
That's on my list.
Is it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. What are you doing?
Right.
I mean, it's probably because your parents threw you birthday parties when you were a child, talked to you with baby talk, and gave you ketchup on chicken nuggets, and you never learned how to be a person.
And they had wind chimes.
And they had, well, obviously that family had wind chimes. Because I don't know, just keep your mouth closed. Keep your mouth closed. Nobody needs to see the food rattling around in your gullet. Nobody needs to see the gaping maw of ignorance. The food spitting out. What do you think's happening when you're chewing with your mouth open? And while we're at it, let's take a moment to acknowledge those that talk with food in their mouths. Now, I understand that if you're eating with somebody and you're having a conversation, that it might not be reasonable to have a moment where you are never talking and eating at the same time. That's fine. But there's ways to do it. Okay? You take a couple of chews, you tuck that food in, you get it out of the way, you say a word, you put it back up, you start chewing again. There's ways to manage that food. But for those who keep the food in their mouth like they're chewing the cud of their recently partially digested meal that came back up from one of their stomachs, and just they feel they need to keep it at the forefront while they talk, gaping, mashing, horrible maw of ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys need to check.
I'll take it up a notch. People who chew on the phone when you're on the phone with them, or eat while you're on the phone with them.
Yes. However, let me argue a point here that's been happening to me more and more lately.
Yeah.
What if you're in the middle of eating dinner and somebody calls you? Now, you have the choice to not answer the phone because you're eating dinner.
Right.
But let's just say you choose to answer the phone. And you say, hey, I'm in the middle of eating dinner. Can I call you back? And they're like, oh, well, just this quick thing.
Yeah.
And you say, okay. Well, I'm not going to fucking stop eating. Because you've interrupted me at my dinner. Now, it was my responsibility to not answer the phone in the first place. So I take responsibility for that. But if now we've both agreed that we're going to have a conversation while I'm eating dinner, you're going to hear me chew because my dinner's getting cold. That's the only circumstance where I think it's allowable.
I suppose.
I've only got one more thing on my list.
Go ahead.
But you're up.
I'm just about tapped out. Open mouth chewing was my next one.
Open mouth chewing was your next one. What else? How many more things do you have?
That was and the we'd thing, but I
okay,
we'd save that for last.
Okay, so we should save that for last. Okay, fine. So I think this is actually a very good way to go.
Yeah.
Imperial measurings. I know. I get it, America. I get it. We're strong, we're independent, we're exceptional. We think we're better than everybody. I understand. But imperial measurements are fucking stupid. They're just fucking stupid. Because I'd like to ask the question of how many quarter teaspoons there are in a cup and a half. Or how many third of a cups are there in a tablespoon and a half. None of that makes any fucking sense. Okay? How many foots are in a half cup? You don't know. You can't tell. It's non-convertible. It's fucking garbage. And I will have people argue with me, oh, well, when you're measuring pieces of wood for woodworking or framing, being able to cut things up into quarters and halves and twelfths is actually more precise than centimeters or millimeters. And I would argue, yeah, only if you're ignoring the fact that if you just stick to millimeters or centimeters, that you would be fine. And if everybody just agreed that you'd stop at half a millimeter, you wouldn't need to go to 0.3 of a millimeter. Because what the fuck is 0.3 of a millimeter? Well, that's 0.3. Look how easy that was. It's goddamn fucking decimals to 10. We've got 10 fingers, and it's easy to count. You know how many grams are at a milliliter of water? No. 1. There's 1 gram in a milliliter of water. Do you know how many grams are in a liter of water? 1,000 grams of water in a liter of water. It's easy to do. Do you know what temperature water freezes at in Celsius? 0. Fucking 0. You know why? Because it's the freezing point of water, the most abundant and normal substance we've got on the goddamn planet. You know what? It boils at 100, not 212. Okay? What the fuck is 200 and goddamn 12? 212? At sea level, water boils at 100 degrees. Who the fuck came up with that? Somebody with a simple fucking brain who understood that this was easier to do. So I would argue What the fuck's a cup? What the fuck's a cup? You know how I know this is stupid? Not because a cup. Because, okay, we came up with a unit. Use a unit. It could have been a handful. Why don't we have handfuls as measures? Right? But the cup is different. Because you know what the cup came from? It's the cup that I used to fucking scoop flour with in the fucking 1830s. That was the cup I had. So when I would give a recipe to somebody, I'd say, oh, you use a cup of flour. And they'd go, great. And they'd pick a cup, and guess what? The cup was a different fucking size. And in Canada, a cup is different than it is in the US, than it is in England. There are fucking standards of cups that are based on, by the way, everything, literally, the pound, the foot, the yard, all that shit, it's all based on the fucking metric system anyway. We are converting in this country if you need to make a conversion to the metric system in the United States, well, congratulations, because you've already converted from the metric system to get to the imperial measure, so that way you can get back to the metric system. It's a fucking waste of time. We're doing ourselves a disservice, and for fuck's sakes, the whole goddamn country was founded on getting rid of fucking imperial rule, and we literally spend our lives with imperial fucking rule. And now if this was a television show, you'd see the ruler I'm hanging. It's called a ruler, for fuck's sakes.
The imperial ruler.
It's the fucking imperial ruler that we use to measure the shit that we build our shit with, for fuck's sakes. So fuck the imperial rule.
When did that go into place?
Imperial rule?
No, the imperial, measurements.
When did we start measuring things? We started measuring things the day we started making things.
No.
And trading things.
No, I know that, you jackass. I'm just talking about the differences of...
The history of the imperial measuring system actually goes back to imperial, I believe it's imperial Britain, maybe even earlier than that in the Middle Ages, when you've had kings and fiefdoms and the feudal system, and each kingdom within, let's say, Great Britain or whatever, Saxony, would have its own system of measure. And so you'd have, and it would be the same fucking thing. You'd be like, oh, how are you measuring that gold? Per sack. Oh, lovely. How big is your sack? It's the sack that I use, and therefore it is the sack of gold that I have. And then you go to the next kingdom, and they're like, how do you measure your gold? It's like, I use it by handfuls. My hand is this size, and that's the size I use. It was that, I mean...
Your British accent is fantastic.
Is it really?
No.
Oh,
okay. It's terrible, but it's great.
I never thought it was good, yeah. It's like a foot. I mean, think about it for a second, dude. What the fuck is a foot? A foot is somebody's foot. One day, somebody was like... I need to lay out this fucking foundation for this house. Got all these sticks around me, but they're all different sizes. My foot, I'll measure it in feet, and I'll walk out a number of feet, and that'll be the feet. And I bet you at some point somebody was like, well, fuck, how do I do that too? My foot's a different size. And he goes, well, let's just measure my foot and break it up into 12 parts. Why 12? Because I'm a dick. Because why not 10? Why didn't the foot get broken up into 10 parts? Who had 12 fingers? Did the dude who measured his house in feet have 12 fingers?
Maybe.
Anyway, that's the imperial measuring system. I don't like it.
Fair enough. It's understandable.
I mean, just the idea that we utilize something that's based upon imperial rule, that we still call actual imperial rule, to me is rather, and we're proud of it too. And like the irony of it is like the people who will claim to be the most, and this I'm on a fucking high horse on a giant soapbox that's at the risk of falling. The people who wave the American flag and claim to be the most patriotic would fucking freak out at the idea of picking up the metric system from that damn commie Europe. Yet
that's right.
The irony is that we're hanging on to a measuring system developed by the fucking kings that we fucking fought to avoid and get away from and start our own country to be free from. But no.
I didn't know you were this passionate about the imperial measuring system.
You just wait until we talk about the weather.
Oh, I know.
All right. Well, that's the end of my list.
Well, here's my last one. And I know it's going to anger you.
Oh.
And I know it's unreasonable. It's weather warnings that have no no follow-up.
I don't even know what the fuck that means. No follow-up. What are you expecting somebody to come to your fucking house and handhold you through fucking atmospheric sciences?
No, it's just it's annoying when I get this massive alert that there's going to be a fucking terrible tornado, and it was a little rainstorm that flew by. It was a little drizzle, maybe some lightning in the background. And I get it. You want to be prepared. I get it. It still bothers me.
What you can't see right now, dear listeners, is me seething in anger at my dear friend Alex's lack of understanding at the way weather forecasting works.
I understand how it works.
Do you understand?
I do. It's not a perfect science.
It's not even about it being a perfect science. It's actually extraordinary. It's absolutely fucking extraordinary. It's borderline miraculous that people can tell you anything about what's going to happen tomorrow. In fact, I would say there is nothing else that we've got that exists in our modern society that can accurately predict anything about the future except for weather forecasters. And the fact that anybody is even upset that a fraction of a percent is off is like, how many times do you need to push that elevator fucking button while you slather ketchup on your fucking baby while you talk to them like an idiot? Let me just give you a little bit of, let's talk about the tornado warning. Okay. More often than not, on a regular basis, especially in the spring and summer in the United States of America, we've got tornadoes. They happen all over the country, but more often they happen in the area known as Tornado Alley.
Yes.
3 to 5 days in advance, a forecast will come out and draw some fucking lines and circles in areas of the country and say, hey, in about 3 days, there's going to be a bunch of thunderstorms here. And some of them may produce tornadoes. And some of those tornadoes may damage homes. We don't know exactly where those tornadoes are going to land because we are fucking wizards, but we're not that good. But we can tell you, and every single fucking time, without fail, within that circle, there are tornadoes. And when a tornado warning is issued, it's always issued because a thunderstorm has developed in a spot and happens to be headed in a direction and in a way that may produce a tornado. And the best thing that we can do as forecasters, I'm not a forecaster, but I just decided to include myself in them, is give you a general area of where this tornado may go. From the moment we think it might begin, it hasn't even happened yet, we think it might happen in the next 10 minutes or so. But we think it might go in this direction, and it might make a left, it might make a right, and there might be a hill over there that might make it fucking go down and might make it go up. And we don't know anything about that yet because it hasn't even happened yet. And somehow that polygon that gives you a tornado warning saves thousands of lives every year. And you're telling me because you didn't get a tornado that you don't like weather warnings.
Yeah.
That's reasonable. You know, you want to know something about wind chimes?
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet wind chimes exist before we had any ability to predict the weather. And somebody put fucking wind chimes out on the barn and went, oh, wind's kicking up. Might want to bring the cows home.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They were the original weather warning system.
They were the original weather warning system. And so in that, my friend, we both hate weather warnings of different kinds.
There you go.
For anybody listening, as far as weather warnings are concerned, I don't want to hear anything about fucking, and seriously, go fuck yourselves. If you're like, oh, the weatherman only needs to be right. If I were only right 50% of the time of my job, I'd get fired. Fuck you. You don't even know what the hell you're doing. You have any idea how complicated fucking atmospheric sciences are. The fact that anybody knows anything about what happens tomorrow, let me ask you a question in your fucking job where you sit at a desk or you fucking go and shovel shit, whatever the fuck it is you do for a living. Can you predict what's going to happen tomorrow? No, you can't. But atmospheric scientists and meteorologists can, on a daily fucking regular basis, can predict the fucking future, and you're angry because they got it wrong once or twice? Suck a dick.
Oh, I love getting you angry.
You can find us at www. dearbrotherpodcast.com. We are available as a podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, except for a couple of places, but nobody gets their podcasts there, so we don't care. Feel free to join our email list by scrolling down to the bottom of any page on our website and entering your email. We promise we're not going to spam you.
No, no.
And if you'd like to tell us anything at all, fuck you, Mark, for telling me I don't know how to raise kids, or ketchup is delicious, or whatever it is that I said that may have offended you. Please feel free to email us at
dearbrother411@gmail.com.
Or I would say, if you have a Twitter account, it's the social media platform that we've decided to take part in. You can follow us and comment on numerous tweets at dearbrother_pod.
Yes.
So yeah.
You could also share your pet peeves with us.
Indeed. And actually,
It could be interesting.
it would be interesting. I wouldn't mind hearing what you guys have to say regarding your pet peeves. I feel like we covered a lot.
We did.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a good deal of overlap between our pet peeves and other people's pet peeves. I like saying other people's pet peeves.
Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. You could find us on Twitter at dearbrother_pod or on our website, dearbrotherpodcast.com.